This is the newsroom.
This is the newsroom for Wednesday, January 22, 2025. We're broadcasting to you on E1, SKAR TV, NTN, and TARZEE TV in Bartica. In the headlines, government agrees to minimum standards for the delivery of healthcare and education nationwide.
Every member in our population have access to quality, world-class education and world-class health services.
The Cyril College of Education launches new inclusive programs. In tonight's feature, we hear from a woman who has been teaching for nearly 4 decades. And in sport, Guyana Harpy Eagles in a good space ahead of 4-day title defense, says head coach, and track and field agent advocates for guidance for Guyanese athletes. With the news, I'm Vishani Raghvir. Thank you for joining us. The government Tuesday agreed to establish minimum standards for the delivery of healthcare and education nationwide, from ensuring clean and functional washrooms to addressing persistent issues like the delivery of medication to patients on a long-term basis rather than having them take monthly trips to refill. President Dr. Finaldi outlined the goal after an all-day meeting with key technical officers from the country's 10 administrative regions. The meeting brought together regional executive officers, regional health officers, regional educational officers, and ministers of education, health, finance, and local government to address and assess progress and challenges while strengthening service delivery mechanisms.
We want to ensure every member in our population have access to quality, world-class education and world-class health services. And that requires all hands on deck. As you know, Budget 2025 focuses heavily on community investment. And in order for us to make the additional investments and to appreciate what is needed, we had to have a very open discourse on what the challenges are, where the weaknesses are, and how we fix those challenges and weaknesses. And we have set today the minimum standards that we'll accept in facilities in every community for health and education. I said also that, for example, our patients should not be coming every month just to have the replenishment of their medical supplies. That every health center must upkeep a full register of all the patients, chronic disease patients, and their medical supply needs. And they must be given 3 months' supplies. And if their clinic date, their doctor recommends a change, then that change goes into the system. What we really sought to achieve today was finding the formula that would fix existing issues, the inefficiencies in the system, whether it's the small issues like washroom, sanitation, issues within health centers, health outposts, schools, or whether it was structural issues of changing the system to make it more people-centered and people-oriented, and that's what we want. We want to reduce the costs of people receiving government business, reduce the time it takes them to receive government service, and improve the quality and delivery of that service. And that is being more direct, being more approachable, creating a more customer-oriented environment, and ensuring that all the investments that we are making deliver at the optimum level. So we focus on fixing what needs to be fixed. We had a full discourse on all the gap that exists, and all the program heads in the regions have been given a clear mandate, a clear strategy has been outlined, and I've made it very clear that they're going to be held accountable for the delivery of service to people.
We tell you now that with the government's move to set up minimum standards for the delivery of healthcare and education, the Minister of Finance and Public Service, Dr. Ashley Singh, said effective service should be available no matter where you live in Guyana.
We are doing far more in these sectors as we are in every other sector. We're building more schools, building more hospitals, training and recruiting more teachers and nurses and doctors. We are buying more textbooks, providing more school meals. We are buying more drugs and medical supplies. We are rolling out more modern world-class equipment in our hospitals, including, of course, digital equipment, digital x-rays, other digital scanning and imaging equipment, telemedicine centers that Minister Frank Anthony spoke about, etc. So we're doing far more, and we're doing it far better. But President Ali has also said that this modern Guyana that we're building must not only be a modern Guyana in terms of the things that we see, newer, bigger, newer, better equipped hospitals, etc., but it must be a more modern Guyana in terms of the things that are not so visible, like, for example, the qualitative changes that are needed in the citizens' experience in accessing government services and in the quality of services that they access and the ease with which they access these services. And those qualitative things sometimes are not, or oftentimes are not as visible. They're not as visible as the brand new hospital building and the brand new hospital beds and the brand new school buildings and the brand new smart classrooms that we're deploying. They're not as visible, but they're just as important in realizing a world-class education and health service. And so what we had today under President Ali's leadership was a full and frank and exhaustive, not exhausting, I don't think any of us got exhausted because it was such an interesting discussion. But what we had today was a full and frank and exhaustive discussion, comprehensive discussion on some of the critical issues that we need to pay attention to make sure that we raise the quality of service that is provided in these two sectors, and some of the minimum standards that should be set and that we're now setting in terms of service delivery in these two sectors. The transformation that we're experiencing today must not only be seen, must not only be experienced, and must not only be benefited from in our major urban centers or only on the coast, but must be experienced and felt and benefited from across the country. And so gone are the days when you can only get access to good quality health care if you come to Georgetown. Or gone are the days when you can only get good quality education if you come to the coast or if you come to Georgetown. And I know that, and we have seen the President's conviction that good quality health care and good quality education must be available to all of our citizens, no matter where they live, no matter which region they live in, no matter, first of all, if they live in an urban center or a rural community, no matter if they live on the coast or in the hinterland, no matter if they live in the most remote village in Guyana. Good quality education and good quality health care must be available to all of the citizens of Guyana.
The Cyril Potter College of Education, CPCE for short, on Wednesday officially launched 4 new programs designed to address certain gaps in the education sector. The programs are Health and Family Life Education, Literacy Education, Special Education Needs and Disabilities Education, and General Teachers Education.
The significance of 4 new programs launched by the Cyril Potter College of Education CPCE could not be overstated on Wednesday. Vice Principal at the Teacher Training College Tansim Henry Grenville highlighted that these programs are pillars of inclusion. Through the Special Education Needs and Disabilities SEND program, equitable opportunities will be created for all learners, while the Literacy Education program will focus on developing the very basis of education, reading, and comprehension skills. The Health and Family Life Education HFLA program will promote life skills and values, preparing children to become resilient adults. Finally, the Graduate Teacher Education program offers teachers with relevant subject degrees an opportunity to earn a teacher's certificate in just 1 year.
Today marks a significant milestone in our ongoing commitment to transforming education and empowering the next generation with the tools and knowledge to thrive in an ever-evolving world. These programs are more than initiatives. They are pillars of inclusion, literacy, and well-being.
CPCE Director Julie Jailal described the programs as bridge programs aimed at supporting the holistic development of children and addressing gaps in the education sector.
Today's launch is historic. I'd like to emphasize that the ultimate beneficiaries of the 4 programs are the students in our schools. We are training teachers in the 4 programs here today in 4 programs that are very, very critical to bridge the gap.
Meanwhile, Minister of Education Premanik Chand praised the new programs as transformative, building on what is already offered in classrooms.
You are going to see more from us. You're going to see better from us. You're going to see our commitments being strengthened and honored. And you have a government, your president came from a home of 2 teachers. So he understands it a little bit better.
The 4 programs represent a significant step forward in creating a more inclusive and effective education system, ensuring that students and teachers both have the necessary tools to succeed. For Newsroom, Isanello Patwo.
When the newsroom returns, we tell you that a coalition between 2 opposition parties is said to be barely hanging on, and body cameras boosting police operations. Welcome back. This is the newsroom. Speed guns used by the Guyana Police Force must be verified and calibrated by the Guyana National Bureau of Standards, GNBS for short, before they are utilized by members of the Guyana Police Force. This is done so that readings are accurate. Senior Inspector of GNBS Legal Metrology Department, Kimo Foof, told the newsroom that verification is done twice yearly. Without this routine exercise, readings from the speed guns are considered invalid.
It's basically a simple exercise. What we do, we have our national standards. It's a robot, and what we do, we set up the coordinates, and we will do a comparison between our standard and the police speed gun. Well, this activity is very important because there needs to be some amount of independence, and we're considered an independent third party. So we will provide traceability, and we will give accuracy for the equipment. So in cases whereby, and I should mention, we also give a calibration certificate once the equipment falls within specs. We will give a calibration certificate for the duration time. Now, this is important because if the police go to do any, take it to court for litigation, they need an independent certificate, someone to vouch that the equipment is accurate and it's reading within its specs. So without this, no case can actually stand in the court because they don't have any documented support saying that the equipment of itself was verified by an independent third party. So we will have to do the verification to give them that authority so that they could prosecute people when they go before the court. A point to note that the police cannot actually or should not use a gun that is unverified because again, it wouldn't have much bearings in court, right? When you meet to litigation. So it's important that they submit all the guns to the Bureau standard in a timely manner so we can have the verification done. In Guyana, GNBS is the only agency authorized to do the verification of speed guns. The verification of one gun, it can actually run up to probably an hour or sometime less. But what we need to do, we need to actually have different speed limits. So we will have, for example, 20 kilometers. We will do a test at 20 kilometers, another one at 40 kilometers, 50. And we do it in different ranges. We sometimes go up to 100, right? And what we do is check it at different speeds. So we need to check different speeds to see how the gun is performing. The MPE that we use, which is the tolerance, is from speed from 0 to 100 kilometers. We use 3 km, and speeds over 100 kilometers, we use 3.
Increase in public cooperation with members of the Guyana Police Force, especially now that more ranks are outfitted with body cameras. This is according to Deputy Superintendent Antonio Fredericks, who told the newsroom that ranks have seen civilians behave more vigilant and mannerly, mainly because they are aware they're being recorded. Footage from these interactions, he said, are being stored to be used as evidence in the event of any unbecoming exchange.
On a daily basis, throughout the country, we are engaged in traffic enforcement exercises. The ranks of the traffic department are continuously engaged in enforcement, targeting all offenses. There are some prevalent offenses: obscured ID mark, prohibition of tinted motor vehicle, failing to wear safety helmet, that's for the motorcyclists, and also failing to wear seatbelt. Speeding is a major concern, and also driving under the influence of alcohol. Well, other than the countrywide enforcement, we have lectures to schools, lectures to bars. We usually engage all categories of road users, the lorry drivers, etc. It must be noted that all ranks are equipped with the body cam during these exercises on the East Coast, the East Bank, on the West Side. They are trained, the ranks are trained in the operation and use of the said body cam. As you approach the driver, you have a button which you press to record the engagement. So far, it has been good. We're having the cooperation of the motorists. I don't know if it's because they are aware that they are now being recorded and we can use that evidence against them if there's any unwarranted altercation. We have some ranks who are trained to extract the said image or footages and it's sent on a flash drive.
We tell you now that the leader of the Alliance for Change political party, Nigel Hughes, says that a partnership between his party and the Partnership for National Unity, APNU, was on life support. And the future of that partnership, he said, depends on a favorable outcome from ongoing negotiations between the two sides. Hughes spoke at a virtual press conference on Tuesday night. In that engagement, he clarified that the AFC is engaging APNU in possibly joining forces again, this time for the 2025 regional and general elections. Hughes also spoke about the selection of a presidential candidate should the parties renew their partnership. According to him, though, it is not automatic that the APNU leader will be that candidate, as was the case in the past.
The AFC remains committed to contesting these elections on its own, if necessary. That is the position of the party. We have been authorized by our executive to enter into discussion with other parties. We believe that with some parties, it is better to have documented the parameters of our engagement just so that we are all on the same page. However, there is no change in our commitment to enter into these elections on our own if necessary, and any parties which will engage with us in the interest of the country. We intend to enter into similar agreements to protect the terms of any arrangement with any other party. The present agreement, that is the agreement between ourselves and APNU, which we signed today, is on life support.
With regard to the leadership of any possible coalition between your parties, is it decided that that will be Mr. Norton or?
Absolutely not. The short
Okay.
answer to that is no. There has to be a mechanism for identifying, assuming that it gets out of life support and gets back on its feet. There has to be a mechanism and a process for identifying the leadership. For us, that process has to be driven by scientific means, polls and other criteria. If and when we get there, I'm sure we'll address that.
In light of a decision against the government's attempt to stay an order mandating the deduction and remittance of union dues to the Guyana Teachers Union, called GTU, Attorney General Anil Nandlal clarified that the union did not provide membership information. Nandlal, during his Tuesday night Issues in the News commentary, disclosed that the Permanent Secretary of the Ministry of Education, Shinali Hussein Oktar, wrote to GTU President Dr. Mark Light on March 14, 2024, requesting the names of GTU members so that a court order could be complied with. That information, he said, has not been forthcoming.
How can the government be accused of violating a court order when we wrote twice asking for the information so that the order can be complied with? And in any event, all of you listening to me would know of the existence of a procedure to enforce an order granted by a court. Orders granted by a court cannot be breached with impunity. There is something called contempt of court. And a person can be held in contempt of court for failure to comply with a court order. But proceedings have to be filed for that contempt to be established to the satisfaction of a court. You have to go to court for contempt. Since April, since when we are writing these letters, February, no such application has been filed for any contempt of court. I say that to say to you that the contention now being made in the public domain that the government is violating the court order is baseless, is unfounded, and is malicious. Because I have in my hand 2 letters where we are asking for the information so that there can be compliance with the court order. And the information has not been forthcoming. So how do you want us to comply with the order? How do you want the government to comply? Deducting wrongly from people's salaries, and then the government will then be liable?
When the news returns, we hear from a woman who has been teaching for nearly 4 decades. Welcome back. This is the newsroom. Walterine MacLeod is an educator of nearly 4 decades. She grew up in the quarantine area of the ancient county Berbice and eventually found her passion, shaping young minds. Ahead of the International Day of Education on Friday, MacLeod engaged the newsroom on her journey in the teaching profession and her ethos of having a willing heart to teach any child.
Teacher, parent, community is responsible in raising any child. And a country is as good as its education system. I am Miss Walterine Leonie MacLeod, sitting before you. Next 2 weeks, I'll be entering my 61st year as God has given me life. I see children as valuable commodity. When I teach a child, I don't school a child. I educate a child. School is preparing a child for an exam. And when they're done with that, they're done with that. But when we at Rima Global Academy educate a child, we send them into the world with purpose. I wanted to become a lawyer, right? But circumstances did not allow that to happen. One day he came and he said, I got you a teaching job. And I met with a head teacher by the name of Miss Joyce Walton. And Mrs. Walton allowed me to understand that teaching can be a very influential career. And I'll encourage my teachers to see the value in them. Every morning at assembly, I will tell them how they're the best, how good they are, encouraging words. Speak to them, speak value into them. Allow them to know that they have greatness bestowed in them. And those are the words that encourage me to decide that I am going to open a school because I did not like the way children were being put down. So many times as teachers, when our children are acting, all they need from us is a listening ear. It's not that they want to do that, but something that they have bothering them inside. And when you manage to shake them, hug them, speak with them, you get them to become the child that you're going to be proud of as an adult. I will teach even if it's one child. All I need is a willing heart. And I am not concerned how slow you are. That does not fail me. What encourages me is if you want to learn. If we can go one step at a time. Oh, yesterday I did not know letter A. Today I still didn't know it. But tomorrow I'm getting to remember it a little. And as we can take it one step at a time, one moment at a time, and when you see these children evolve and they grow and they become whatever God has created them to be, that's my motivation.
When the news returns to financial, weather, and bridge reports, along with sport news with Avinash Ramzan. I'm Vishani Raghavar. Please stay with us.
Welcome back to Newsroom. Now for a look at what's happening in sport. We're starting us off with some cricket news. The Guyana Harpy Eagles on Wednesday upped their preparations for the upcoming West Indies 4-day championship with a high-intensity net session at the National Stadium Providence. Head coach Ryan Hercules, in giving an assessment of the work done since the official squad was announced, said they're in a good space as the challenge of defending the title with a relatively new-look squad looms. The Harpy Eagles, who have won 7 of the last 9 regional 4-day championships, will begin the quest for title honours on January 29th when they play Barbados Pride at the National Stadium Providence. A week out from that match, the head coach Ryan Hercules was observed leading his charges in a net session at the match venue. He said the pieces are falling into place as the ball-off of the championship draws closer.
It's been good so far. This is our second day training at the stadium. I'm pretty excited with the young core players we have, even in the standby as well, not turning up to training every day. But yes, we're in a good space. I'm trying to get the guys prepared mentally. So today, we went a bit hard yesterday, so we're going to just tone it down a bit today, and then we stepped up back tomorrow because basically it's important to manage the guys' workload in terms of getting into that first all-important game.
At least for the start of the season, the Harpy Eagles will miss several established players. The regular skipper Tevin Imlak, Kevin Sinclair and Gudukesh Moti are in Pakistan, while Shumar Joseph is still injured. Additionally, Shumron Hetmeyer, Kimo Paul, Romario Shepard and Shofin Rutherford are currently engaged in T20 franchise cricket. That has created opportunities for several youngsters, with Thaddeus Lovell and Junior Sinclair in the squad for the first time, and the likes of Sachin Singh, Rampatop Ramnath, Zainul Ramsami, Jonathan Van Lang, Gulcharan Chalai, Silas Tyndall and Riyad Latif on the standby list.
It's good. Young players, they turn up every day to train, they put in the work because they know the opportunity is there. So, the effort is there from them. I keep encouraging them to, when they do get that one opportunity or one chance, make it count. I think it's all you need in terms of playing cricket or any sport. You just need that one chance. So it's high intensity from the young players, but there's still stuff we need to manage with them coming up into a first-class franchise. So I think it's good energy, good effort from the young kids as they groom in with the senior players.
The Guyana Harpy Eagles squad reads Kimal Savory captain, Matthew Nandu vice-captain, Tejnarain Chandapal, Raymond Perez, Kevlon Anderson, Ronaldo Ali Mohammed, Junior Sinclair, Versami Pramal, Anthony Adams, Niall Smith, Isaiah Thurn, Richie Loknath and Thaddeus Lovell. Meanwhile, 16-year-old off-spinner Romario Ramdihal bagged in the second Guyana Harpy Eagles practice match at the National Stadium Providence. The match was being used as preparation for the upcoming West Indies 4-day championship, and according to the national under-17 player, playing with his seniors and learning how to improve his craft was highly fruitful. Though he was not selected in the squad for the first round of the championship, the young man plans to use the new tools to improve his performance for the national youth teams.
Congrats on your FIFA, playing at this level, a practice game against a lot of senior players. How pleased are you with your performance?
Thanks. I feel much better. Picking up some of the senior guys.
What's the level of confidence it gives you to come here and do such?
Yeah, a bit nervous. Yeah, I just got through.
Yeah. Tell me about the work. I know your coach. He's very proud of you. He posts about it a lot on social media. Tell me about the kind of relationship and the things he's been teaching you to improve your game.
Yeah, not enough work. He was working me a lot at home. Yeah, I'm successful.
You still have some years on the 19 level. I guess you're looking forward to probably building on some really good performances thus far on the 19 level this year.
Yeah, work by Guyana this year. We will pick up some more kids.
And just one other thing, what have you learned though, being around these senior guys? What is something that I guess have rubbed off that you need to do to be better at your craft?
Learn some good experience with some guys. Learn some bowling tips from all.
Still in cricket, England's new era in white ball cricket under Brendan McCullum began with a crushing defeat against world champions India as familiar frailties against spin resurfaced in the first T20 in Kolkata. After seamer Arshdeep Singh dismissed Phil Salt for a 3-ball duck and Ben Duckett in his first 2 overs, the middle order fell in a sorry heap against India's heavy spin bowling attack, and England were bowled out for 132. Captain Jos Buttler played a lone hand with 68 from 44 balls, but Harry Brook was the next highest scorer with 17. Spinner Varun Chakravarti was India's best bowler with figures of 3 for 23. Jofra Archer then impressed with 2 for 21 in India's chase, but the host still romped to a 7-wicket victory with 43 balls to spare, England's heaviest T20 defeat in terms of deliveries remaining. Opener Abhishek Sharma was in a no-nonsense mood, crashing 7-9 from 34 balls, slamming 8 sixes and 5 fours. The second T20 of the 5-match series is on Saturday in Chennai. Now, seasoned track and field coach QB Sigoben is adamant that the top junior athletes in Guyana need expert guidance to help them make informed decisions. According to Sigoben, who has managed world-famous athletes such as Johan Blake, Guyana has a young crop of talented athletes. However, they need the requisite guidance to navigate a challenging life of track and field, whether professionally or in their first bout, the college system.
How important is that, having someone with a lot of expertise, a lot of knowledge, being, I guess, your overarching manager as you begin to push yourself in a professional track and field environment?
Well, it's important to have somebody that can help you to navigate the dangerous waters. But it's very difficult for me, in a sense, because the young athletes are in a different environment than I'm used to. The social media phenomenon has changed a lot of things, and you have a lot of athletes, you know, younger athletes in other younger athletes' ear, and it's a lot of misleading information, a lot of disinformation and misinformation. And it's hard for a young athlete, a 17-year-old or 18-year-old, to decipher what is really true and what isn't true, you know, and making major decisions in their lives. And, you know, somebody who's older than me, you know, you come in and you try to help them, but it becomes like, hey, who's this old guy trying to tell me, you know, what is new? I mean, I'm going through that right now with a few people, you know.
Yeah.
And it's like telling a kid, don't put your hand in the fire, you can get burned. But unless they do that and they get burned, they're not going to believe you. They're always going to believe that you're just trying to tell them to do something that's not there.
And one of the athletes, I know you would have taken a lead role in them signing a big deal, the first of its kind, that NIL deal, Tiana Springer.
Right.
Just talk us about, you know, how that came about, and I guess the interest that you begin to, I guess, speak into Guyana's growing track and field repertoire.
Well, you know, it's kind of funny, and you're not going to believe this, but I met Tiana Springer and her parents for the first time at the airport when I came here. I had seen Tiana on TV, and my association with the federation, and one other famous athlete from Guyana, Rayfield Beaton, and I had been communicating with her mother and father, you know, by messaging or phone and everything. But I saw her on TV, and I went to Adidas and I said, just out of the curious, I said, hey, there's this girl from Guyana, I think you need to sign her. And in doing the deal, I did the one for the twins too from Trinidad, the Frederick girls, and Brianna Liston, the famous Jamaican sprinter who I had from high school. So I did 4 NIL deals, and I included, when I spoke to them without managing or permission, I spoke to them about Springer, and I said, hey, there's this girl in Guyana, I think you guys need to sign her now. From now, she's going to be great. And they went along with it because of my, you know, my repetition and my knowledge, and they signed her. I did the deal, I did all the negotiations for her, and I sent the parents, and they trusted me, and I signed her.
Now, the International Boxing Association has asked United States President Donald Trump's new administration to look into the sport's omission from the 2028 Los Angeles Olympics. The International Olympic Committee, the IOC, suspended the Boxing Association, which ran the Olympics boxing program in 2019 because of concerns over its finances, governance, ethics, refereeing, and judging. Having failed to meet required reforms set out by the IOC, AIBA was stripped of its role, a decision upheld in 2024 April by the Court of Arbitration for Sport following an appeal. The IOC organized boxing at Tokyo 2020 and Paris 2024, and though it says it will not do so at future Olympics, it remains hopeful that the sport can be restored to the program through a new international federation. At present, boxing is not part of the 2028 plans, but a final decision on its inclusion has not yet been made. Trump, who enjoyed a brief foray in boxing promotion during the early 1990s, has been elected on a 4-year term and will be in office when the games are held in LA in 2028. Now, Lewis Hamilton said his first test in a Ferrari Formula One car was, quote-unquote, awe-inspiring and one of the best feelings of my life. The 40-year-old 7-time champion completed 30 laps of Ferrari's Foriano track in cold, damp conditions on Wednesday in a 2023 Ferrari F1 car. Hamilton said, and I quote, "When I started the car up and drove through the garage door, I had the biggest smile on my face. It reminded me of the very first time I tested a Formula One car. It was such an exciting and special moment, and here I am, almost 20 years later, feeling those emotions all over again," end quote. Hamilton's run in the SF23, the most recent car he's allowed to drive on the F1's testing restrictions, is part of his acclimatization work with his new team. And with that, we've come to the end of the news for this evening. Of course, you can find updates on these and other stories on our website, newsroom.gy, and all social media platforms. On behalf of the entire news team, I'm Avinash Ramzan. Thanks for watching. Be safe. See you next time.